What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Regrowth Cup 2024 Old School Tournament. That's right, Old School is back on the channel. For those of you interested, this is a 2-pack format for this tournament, which means we can only play 2 of all the good lands, including strip mines and Regrowth factories. So without further ado, let's see what everyone brewed up. First up, we have Chad on a red, white, blue list that I saw referred to as Patriot, so I'm going to run with that for the deck name. It is a pretty aggressive deck running 4 Savannah Lions, some Serendibs, 3 Javelineers, and a couple of Sarah Angels. It is not a fully powered list, but it does have Mana Drain, a Brain Geyser, and oh boy, it has got a lot of burn. We got 4 Lightning Bolts, 4 Chain Lightnings, and a Fireball for good measure. And just to complete the burn, there is 4 Psionic Blasts. In the sideboard, I do see some Blood Moons, which are interesting, giving the 3-color mana base. Overall, a really sweet, aggressive list, and I'm excited to see how it plays. Next up is Chris on what he is calling Mono White Prison. This is definitely a prison deck running 3 IC Manipulators, 3 Winter Orbs, 4 Relic Barriers, and a Kismet. Oh, and just 2 modes main deck. You can see the downside of 2-pack here in the fact that he's only running 2 Mishra's Workshops, 2 Mishra's Factories, and 2 strips, but makes up for it with some really high power. This is a fully powered list, well, in every aspect except it's not running blue power. The sideboard is also pretty interesting, running a Pendrel Veil, which is really sweet. I haven't really seen that in a old school deck in a minute, and just a really good sideboard against what his weakness is, which is aggro. So enough John about the list, let's get into the games. And here we go. Chris is on the left, Chad is on the right. It is good to have Old School back on the channel. It's been a minute. I believe the last tournament was the Regrowth, or not the Regrowth Cup, that's the one we're currently doing. The War of the Roses, which was also the Portland community and at this same facility. Actually, really cool space we got here for these. Excited for future events. And to that point, actually, the War of the Roses was just announced, soft launch, signups are not ready yet, for next May, so keep an eye out for that if you're on the Discords. I'm sure it'll be advertised in the main Old School channel as well. Should be a ton of fun, have some really cool artists, and of course, just some rad games of Magic. Alright, while we were chatting, I actually missed who won the die roll. I think we just did odd even. But either way, hopefully Chad is going first here because things are going to get locked down pretty quick. And hopefully he can get a threat on the board before Chris really does just lock everything down. And we're going to get aggressive right off the bat. Bolt you, say go. Keep in mind this is round 1. Neither player knows what the other is on, so that is a hyper aggressive bolt. And there's an Ivory Tower, which if you're Chad, you probably don't want to be seen. Chris is going to be gaining so much life off of that. So here's another bolt to the face. Say go. No creature yet for Chad, but Chris is already down to 6, or 11, sorry. No, yeah, okay. Some mismanagement of the dice there. Should have only taken 6, but is going to gain a few points. Back up 16. How about a second Ivory Tower? And Chris weighing his options if he's actually going to play out another card. He is Caracas. Pass. That is a challenge wanting to develop your board for sure. Alright, 3 coming down. There's a Serendib. Take a point off the city. And we're going to be gaining 2, I think, here. Yeah. Okay, well. Chad having a lightning fast start, pun intended. 2 bolts and a Serendib. But Chris definitely threatened to stabilize here. Is going to play out a Workshop. There's an Icy. And let's slow things down a little, he's saying, which totally makes sense. Take 1 off of your Serendib. By the way, I don't think I called it out in the deck tech, but these Icies are spectacular. I really do love the original art. I think that's a Douglas Schuler original, right? But the proxies are super sweet too. Or not proxies, altars. Nothing in Chris's deck is proxy. Although the Regrowth Cup is, I wouldn't necessarily say proxy friendly, but no one really cares. Everyone's here just to play. Alright, there's a 4 to the face. Takes 2 to sell. I wanted to call it a Psychic Purge, but that's not what it is. I'm relearning my old school muscles here, folks. So if I misnomer a card, bear with me. I know most of them. That's actually not true. I know most of the big ones. Alright, tap into City here. If it's played in pre-modern, I probably know what it is. There's another Serendib. Alright, Icy tapping down the 1 Serendib that can swing in. Moving to Chris's turn, gaining some life. Off the Ivory Tower. Goes to draw step. Chris now has all the mana in the world and is just going to pass. He will be taking 4 points from one of the Serendibs, but at the very least, oh, there's a land tax, which doesn't do anything right now. Okay, we're going to tap down a Serendib, swing in for 4. Drops down to 13. But we'll be gaining 4. And back up to his original total. Or sorry, he's taking 3, not 4. Jesus. It's a 3-4. Chris deciding the benefit of actually playing something out versus just gaining more life. He is in a very good spot. Being able to gain 6 life next turn. Going life positive. Not worth developing the board, I guess. So, playing out just a land. And, yep, before combat, tap one of them down. Taking 3. We'll gain 4. So Chris is just going to be gaining 1 life per turn right now as it stands. Notably also, Moat does not really help against these guys, which I think he does actually have a Moat in hand. Okay, we have our first piece of power of the tournament coming down, Mox Ruby. And how about a Tome? Let's draw some cards. I think that was another Psionic Blast. Okay, we're just gonna go to combat. Yep, tap 1 down, take 3. Chad realizing this might be a bit of a losing situation. Needing to change things up a bit. There's a disenchant for the orb. For the... yeah, plays his own piece of power. Say go. Alright, tapping 4, let's draw a card. We got Dueling Rubies. And Chris is gonna gain 4 life here. Go to turn. And just gonna pass. Definitely embodying the prison deck here. His win con, which I don't think really went over in the deck tech, is Black Vice. I believe that's the main one. He can win through Vicious Factories as well, but that might take a while. Okay, drawing a card here. Gonna gain 5? Oh, 6. A lot. He's gonna gain a lot. We're losing track. He's got to find some action here eventually. Not playing out a land because he doesn't want to trigger the land tax, but we'll play out a Mox Emerald. I haven't really been commenting on it, but I probably should call it out that Chad is actually losing this game to his own Serendib Freets. Chris' only win con may be the Black Vices, but he has a win con in the Serendibs. As long as he can keep them around and not swinging in for any amount of lethal damage, Chad is just dead.
I have to kill your own dude.
Yeah, right. Alright, 6.
Probably is. Alright, taking 6.
And then...
Oh, there's a disenchant for one of the ivory towers. Very interesting choice. I mean, I get it. You want the damage that you're doing to stick around.
Trigger.
But hitting the tome
7.
might be the better call, as that's Chris's only way of drawing cards right now, and he's definitely using it.
I'm at 8 now.
One thing I can't remember from Chris's list actually is if he's running swords. And yeah, because even with this, Chris is still just at 19 after everything Chad's been swinging in.
Play icy.
Oh, there's another orb.
Play Mox.
There's another
Pass with 7.
box.
Wait, 2.
Say go.
Yeah.
And it looks like Chad is actually going to die to his own Serendibs. And that is going to be game number 1. Okay, that was a pretty crazy game number 1. Chad losing to his own Serendib's upkeep damage is not how I saw this match going originally, but Chris definitely locking down the board, stalling out long enough with those ivory towers where he's able to get the win. Alright, Chad is on the play again. And looks like we got some Essence Flux, I believe. And yep, that's going to be good enough to start. We're going to go Volcanic Island, do a Chain Lightning U, and pass. Some things never change. And there's an Ivory Tower for Chris. Some things never change for him as well. Alright, Bolt U. City of Brass for turn. Pass. I'm sorry, that is an Energy Flux in Chad's hand. Alright, Chris gaining 2 life here, I believe, off of the Ivory Tower. Goes to draw step. So Energy Flux is all artifacts at the beginning of your upkeep. Sacrifice it unless you pay 2. That seems like a pretty good sideboard option against Chris, who is relying on winning through majority of his artifacts. Chris will play out a Plains for turn, a Black Lotus for turn, and surprise, surprise, there is actually aggressive creatures. Chris did bring in Sarah Angels. That is pretty huge. And Chad is just going to pass.
Attack.
Alright, let's start swinging. 4 in with the Sarah. Ooh, and a strip. 1 of 2 in the deck. In the City of Brass. And a Chaos Orb, say go. Ooh, there's a Soul Ring draw for Chad. Looks like that's what's going to happen. And pass. He does have an Armageddon as well. If he does find a white source, depending on what Chris is playing out, that could be tempting. Alright, Chris making a land drop. And he's going to attempt to orb. We're orbing the Volcanic Island, first orb of the tournament. And that is no good. Unfortunately, misses, and that island is sticking around. Oh, but we do have Disenchant effect for the Soul Ring. Chad very lucky in that he didn't lose all of his mana there. Oh, and does find the second land. Turn too late for that Armageddon, but still probably happy to actually have mana to do things. Just gonna say go. Sarah Angel is gonna keep the beats coming. Chad drops to 8. All right. Another plane's coming down and still not doing anything. Thinking about that energy flux. Is gonna pass. Oh, what do we got here? There's a Psionic Blast taking care of the Sarah Angel. Yes, you do take 2, but it's better than taking 4.
Go ahead.
And Chris is gonna pass. Alright, Energy Flux does come down. I do believe...
End step, I'm gonna
Oh, we got a response here from Chris to draw a card. And passes the turn. Did he find a disenchant? Are we gonna dig for a disenchant? Or are those artifacts just gonna die? Are we sticking... He could pay for them. He could pay all 4, which is, looks like... No, he's gonna draw a card.
I'm gonna draw my upkeep. Okay.
And... Yep, all those artifacts are kaput. Draws for turn.
Go ahead.
Say go. And Chad turned this thing around from being almost dead to that Sarah Angel, now stabilized.
Javelineer, sure.
There's a Javelineer. Does have a threat. Of course, Chris does have that factory, which obviously does not get affected by the energy flux when it's a land. Alright, we're tapping 4. Or not. Playing out that IC is kind of dangerous.
Relic Barrier.
Alright, Relic Barrier. Howling Mine. Okay. We're gonna tap down the Howling Mine with the Relic Barrier so you don't get the extra draw. Interestingly though, Chris is gonna have to pay for the energy flux trigger before he gets the benefit of the Howling Mine. So is he gonna be paying 4 here to keep the Relic Barrier and the mine online? Alright, 1 coming in.
Sorry, I had my. Oh, I was at. I'm at 7.
A little bit of confusion with the life total here.
I feel like you gain life off of it.
Yeah, I'm at
I think that's right. Yeah. 16.
Sure, go ahead.
Some of that ivory tower nonsense. Alright, he is in fact paying...
Oh, okay. That's good.
Drop.
Yeah, yeah.
Drop.
Being the only one to draw a land per turn is pretty good. Ooh, oh, there's the icy. Got the factory. The factory helps pay for... Actually, can you... Or, not the factory, the workshop. Does the workshop actually help pay for energy flux? I need to look at the Oracle text for that.
Armageddon?
Sure.
Oh, Armageddon here. That is huge.
15. Yeah, that more flip is gonna lose me this game.
I don't know.
No, Workshop doesn't actually pay for it, and all of those artifacts are in the bin. Chad's turn has a land drop, has the only creature on the board, and still has that energy flux. It's going to make it really hard for Chris here. We got a library coming down. That's going to be too little too late, I think. Chris definitely does have time to rebuild. In fact, he does have 13 turns to rebuild. But... Oh, he does actually have swords. There we go. I was questioning that before. It is, in fact, in the deck. And Bolt. Draws for turn. That Sarah Angel is going to be a little tricky to cast. Has to pass. If Chris has time, he will eventually be able to activate that library. Second land coming down for Chad. Pass. And Chris is going to say go. 4 cards in hand. Hit another land drop. One more. Actually, already 2 more, and we get our Sarah Angel. How about a second energy flux, just in case. This time, the nice Antiquities one. Say go. 1 more till Sarah Angel time. Did he draw land? Nope. Bolt. Or sorry, Chain Lightning you. Down to 4. Chris does get the library draw here.
Play an Ivory Tower.
There's an Ivory Tower.
7.
They go. There was a Psionic Blast, right? There's a Blood Moon.
I'm gonna gain.
Was that not a Psionic Blast?
I'll pay for it.
Okay.
Oh, I guess I can't because you have 2. Yeah. I'll let it die.
Do they stack?
They stack. Yeah. So it's stack. Draw a card.
Right, because Chris was at 4. It must not have been. There's a strip. Sticking around this time because it is a mountain. And there's the Sarah. Now it does have to race. Oh, there's a disenchant for the Blood Moon. Alright. Everyone gets their lands back. Chris is going to draw off the library.
That flip has completely lost me this game. You having the blue for the side blast is brutal.
And I am very curious what that blue card is that's in Chad's hand. If it's not Psionic Blast. Is it Psychic Purge? Did he bring those in from the sideboard for some reason? Thinking that if he gets prisoned out, he could discard those for damage? That must be what it is. Alright, Plane's getting tapped here. For an Ivory Tower. Stripping the Volcanic Island. No, I'm almost 100% sure he's got a Psionic Blast in hand there. There is a Psychic Purge as well, but pretty sure the one underneath it is a Psionic Blast.
I will gain 4, and I'm going to go to 7. This dies.
Alright, Sarah getting for 4, does have Vigilance. Plane's coming down for Chris. And Chris is going to pass,
I'm going to go to discard.
I think.
I'll discard a relic.
Yep, discarding to hand size. Alright, so in for 4, down to 3. Pass to you.
Upkeep draw.
Drawing a card. Chris finding out here. Nope, we're going to go to game number 3. Always great when we get a actual series here with both players taking a game. Those energy fluxes just being absolutely houses. 1 was tough to deal with, 2 was nearly impossible for Chris. You have to imagine every bit of enchantment removal he has in his side and main. He's probably mulliganing to that, honestly. Just based on how badly that was for his deck, which relies on all of its artifacts to actually do the thing. Ooh, there is a library hand. That's pretty good. He is on the play, too. How tempting is it? keep that.
Keep this.
Oh no, he is mulliganing here. Okay, so I guess we shortcut it a little bit. Must have forgot to leave myself a note about the mulligans, but yes, looks like Chris did have to mulligan, but he's still going to play out a library. Although with 5 cards in hand. There's a lion. That's a great start for Chad. There's a land, or Drago actually, from Chris. Keeping the library up. Plateau for Chad. Gonna get in for 1.
I haven't seen those all match. I was wondering if you have them.
We're gonna see a double Mox. Alright, we got a Sapphire. Alright, Psionic Blast you for 4.
Yeah, they're in my
Down to 14. There you go.
on the side pocket on the right.
Draw.
Alright, Chris going to activate his library, can now start playing from his hand a little bit. Land for turn. I do see a disenchant.
Go ahead.
But we're going to start off with an Ivory Tower. City of Brass here for Chad. Second piece of power coming down. First, hit you for 2. Chris down to 12.
Should be at 12. Yep. Okay.
1, 2, 5. I'll take 1.
5 mana. Are we going to see a Sarah? Yes, Sarah Angel hitting the battlefield. Say go.
Gain some life.
Trying to end this quickly. Going to take a gain 2, I should say, up to 14. Draw a card off the library. Do we have a swords for the angel? No, we do have another ivory tower though. And Chris gonna say go.
Go ahead.
Attack.
Interesting. Chad having a swords in hand after that Sarah Angel from game 2.
Alright, upkeep, triggers.
Chris down to 8.
Is that 8?
Gonna draw with
8 cards in hand, so I'll gain 8.
the tower trigger on the stack.
Now, so I'm going to be at 16.
I think he gains 6? No. 8?
Draw for my turn.
Yeah, that's that's brutal. Functionally gaining 2 each turn right now. Playing out the Emerald. Tap into for Felwar Stone.
It's 7.
Say go. That's another swords. For Chad, 2 in hand. Go swing for 6.
Go ahead.
Triggers, draw. So I have 8, so I'm going to gain 8 now.
Gonna gain 8.
Draw for my turn.
And Chris fighting his way back in after a very good, very fast start from Chad. And we know he even has the backup for the energy fluxes. And I think at this point, Chris has fully stabilized. And until Chad can play another threat, we might be in here for the long haul. This definitely seems to be the challenge with the Library of Alexandria. How many cards can you play out of your hand? Notably, he's not going to be able to activate that Icy this turn.
I go to back down to 12.
Alright, gonna take 6.
So
Chain Lightning you. Take another 3.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Drops to 9. Pass to you. Gain 8.
Triggers, draw. I'm at, yeah, I'm at 9, so I'm going to gain 8.
Yeah.
Draw for my turn.
So after all that, Chris is taking 1 point of damage. Alright, Mox hitting the board. Fully not afraid of energy flux at this point. Definitely has at least one answer to it. We know he has a disenchant. He probably has more. If I had to bet, he probably has 2. Just to be safe. He's drawn a lot of cards this game. And is actually just going to move to discard a Howling Mine. There's an Armageddon. It's not that great here. Yes, it does get rid of his library. I mean, is it worth it? You do have 2 pieces of power yourself. It does hit his factory. It's a 3 for 3. And Chris has more.
I'm going to tap this down, and I'll take 2.
Okay, just move into combat first.
I'm going to go from 17 down to 15.
Also, not sure if it matters, but Chris may be missing an opportunity to kill the Savannah Lion. Although, understandably,
I'm going to disenchant both of your monsters.
oh, we're going to double disenchant. Ooh, nasty. Alright, well, I told you Chris had at least one answer to an energy flux. And yes, he did have 2. So no mana on the field for chat. Thankfully, he does have a volcanic island. But yeah, anyways, I was saying that Chris potentially missed a way to kill the Savannah Lions, which he probably assumes that Chad has some removal in hand, which he does. He has at least 1 sword, if not 2. But if he had swords, then he wouldn't have been able to arm again this turn. Alright, there's a relic barrier. Right, tapping down the Sarah, hit you for 2. And once again, Chris has stabilized and will be gaining at least 2 life this turn. Not sure what that card was that he just picked up there. I just been plains. But does hit his land drop. Do we have a win con yet in hand for Chris? Does not look like it. We're just going to pass. I wonder if he actually took out the Black Vices because of how aggressive Chad's deck is and how tough it would be to keep cards in his hand. All right, there's a Chain Lightning.
I can chain it back at you.
Sorry, I was looking at it, I was like, wait a second, I'm missing
Pass to you.
Well, no, yeah. Okay.
Oh, did we not cast the Chain Lightning? All right, yep, gotta go through the steps. Swing in.
Gain 2, draw.
Double Ivory Tower at this point. Not getting any life off of it yet. Oh, but a Howling Mine combined with Relic Barrier will definitely change that. Gonna tap down. Yep. Makes sense. Alright, I think Chris does now have 5 cards in hand. Okay, so he will be gaining life off of the Ivory Towers.
Oh, I guess you can't bounce it now. Okay.
Alright, there's the Chain Lightning.
Attack set. Tap this down.
Take 2.
Yep.
Tapping the Sarah, take 2. Gonna be gaining 2.
Gain 2. This goes up to 4. Draw.
Drawn for the Howling Mine as well. Card advantage online. Alright, there's a second strip, I believe.
White. City in the bottle.
There's a city. in a bottle to take care of the city on the field.
Go ahead.
Past you.
Oh, yeah, oh, tap.
Tap in the Howling Mine so you don't get a draw card. Land for turn.
And tap your Sarah.
Tap in the Sarah. Taking 2.
Done.
Move to his draw step. I believe he's gaining
I have
3 here.
so I'll gain
Or
2.
4. No, just 2.
Draw out.
It does draw 2 cards. And I think at this point we might just be going through the motions. Chris effectively shutting off Chad's mana. There's a Black Lotus. Cracking it. What are we doing? Something big? There's a Wrath of God. Ooh. Yeah, that's not great.
Upkeep on tap this.
Tap the Howling Mine.
Tap your
Tap the island. Pass to you.
On my own. Oh,
on your upkeep.
Now all Chris is missing is a win con here, honestly.
go ahead.
Alright, untap.
Gain 2. Go back up to 6.
Gain a boatload of life. There's a Sarah Angel. That is a win con. Chad does not have a way to pay for the swords he has in hand. Alright, 5 mana getting tapped.
Go ahead.
There's a Sarah.
This.
Tap the Howling Mine, tap the island.
1 card.
Chad really needing a plains here. Does not find it. Pass to you.
Gain no life.
That is at least 2 swords in hand. He might even actually have a 3rd one.
For you.
Alright, swinging in for 4. Is that another Sarah Angel? 1 was good. 2's gotta be better, right? No, there's a Kismet. Oh no.
Pass to you. Tap. Tap.
Everything's entering tapped.
Okay.
Tap down your island.
Go ahead.
Alright, we got an Angel. The only thing that's gonna make this worse is if there's a Winter Orb. And we do know
Draw.
Chris has at least 3.
For you.
Haven't seen one yet.
Play.
Tapping 4. Another orb. Oh, Jalen Tome. Or the other, yeah. We got card draw. Even more card draw. Land for turn.
Go ahead.
Pass to you.
Tap this. Tap your
Tap the mine. Tap your island.
Jesus. Alright. Go ahead.
And Chad just not seeing any lands here. Gonna pass.
upkeep. Gain 2.
Chris gaining a little bit of life here. I think just 2.
For you.
Swing for 4.
Play.
And yeah, say go. Can you find any planes? No, actually, planes wouldn't even do it. I think that is just going to be game. Yeah, that is a lot of good stuff in Chad's hand that he's not going to be able to cast. Discarding the lion. Chris sees the win. Is he trying to decide what to do? You just swing in, dude. Gaining a boatload of life. You gotta go through the steps. And yep, swing for 1.
Play another icy.
There's another icy. Yeah, you're not getting any untaps anytime soon.
Go ahead.
Say go, tap the Howling Mine, tap the island, and yeah, Chad just not finding anything, and that is going to be game number 3. Congrats to Chris for taking that down. Mono White Prison, definitely, it lives up to its name. Very cool looking deck though, very cool to see it actually do its thing, especially against such an aggressive deck that looked like it was in a really good spot all 3 games. Well, thanks to everyone for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. We do have 4 more rounds of Old School coming up. We'll be doing once a week in addition to our normal pre-modern content. If you love the pre-modern content, don't worry, we got plenty of that coming up as well. If you want to support the channel even more, there's a Patreon link in the video description. That money goes towards gear upgrades, travel expenses like to another Old School tournament happening in Vegas later this winter, and of course just making more videos. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.